is Chris.
Okay, go ahead.
Call to order, adoption of agenda. Can I have a seconder?
Second.
All in favor? Adoption of minutes.
3.1 recommendation that council adopt the minutes from the May 15th, 2019 regular council meeting as presented.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Introduction of late items. Brandy Gusix. I said it right? Public hearing none. Delegation 6.1 recommendation. Brandy Gusix. Can I have a second? Any discussion before we start? All in favor? Come on up, Brandy.
So I just needed to speak in regards to animal control. Back at the end of April, my dog had got out of my yard one evening. I have a purebred basset hound who's not fixed. Didn't have her collar on because of how the grasses and stuff are and all the animals we have. She's rolling around in the dirty stuff. And so right now we weren't bathing her at that time just because she just rolls around in it immediately after. Someone had taken a picture and sent it to me of a Facebook thing that was put out by Faye Randall, asking if anybody knew whose dog this was. She looks to be well looked after. The owner must not be on Facebook. Have them call a certain number. So I called the number and it went to Les Randall at Animal Control. I advised him why she didn't have her collar on and stuff, and that she's never ever gotten out before. I don't know really what happened, but we immediately made plans to come into town or come back from our farm and pick her up. So we got to his place to pick her up. He had her in the backyard. We were there for probably about 20-25 minutes talking with him. When I spoke with him, I had met him in the past, so I advised him of how we knew each other through how I work. When we continued the conversation throughout, nothing changed and stuff like that. Before we left, I asked him how much I owed him for her getting out. He told me nothing. I said, "Oh, really? Okay." And he says, "No, if I know who owns the dogs, I'll just pick them up and put them back in their yard." So I said, "Oh, okay." Well, I explained to him in detail exactly where we lived, where our house was in Poussiere. For some reason, if she ever got out again, he acknowledged like he understood where it was, and I said, "And if you ever need to get a hold of me, the easiest way is through my work." Explained where I worked. He said they'll let me know immediately, and I'll come and get her. Everything seemed fine. Grabbed my dog, put her into the back of the truck, we left. We were still feeding all of our animals that we have out of town, so we put her back into the backyard. The gate seemed to be fine, so we didn't know what that was about. And then we went back out of town and we were there till late feeding the rest of our animals. Came back into town, we couldn't, I couldn't see Totem, that's my dog's name, outside. And so I just assumed we have a great big shed and it's got a house made up for her by herself in there. So she just will usually go in there and sleep. And so I didn't see her, so I assumed that she was just passed out in her bed. Next day we didn't see her, so I thought she was just on the side because the sun was finally out. That evening, Braden went outside, seen that somebody had broken into our back gate, and it had to take a lot of force to get that back gate that goes to the alley open. And so with all the thefts and stuff like that with dogs or people taking things, I thought somebody came in and took the dog. I didn't call animal control because I knew Les just got my information the night before, and what he said, if he knows who owns it, he puts them in the yard. He knew how to get a hold of me, he knew where I lived, nothing. So I left it just kind of word of mouth, looking around on her own, trying to find her. finally it was just like nothing was coming, so I put it out there that asking on Facebook if anybody seen my dog, put a picture that I took the night before she went missing of her on Facebook, and just saying that somebody had broken into our backyard. Has anybody seen our dog? Somebody shared the post, and then I believe it was Sandy sent a reply back saying send this to who originally sent it and have them call Les at Animal Control. So I called Les at Animal Control immediately and advised him who I was, and I asked him if he had my dog. He was quite rude, saying I did have your dog, and I said if you did have my dog, if you had my dog, why didn't you come to my place, or you knew exactly where I was? He said he came to my place that morning and knocked on the door, nobody was there. I said, well, we leave early for work in the morning or we head out to our farm. I said, like, I have no idea that you were there. There's no evidence that he was even there. I asked him why he didn't call my work, and he said it wasn't his job to track down owners of dogs. And so, upset, I'm crying by that point, he goes, I said, where's my dog now? And he said, sorry. And he says that he sent it to a Beagle rescue in Edmonton. And I'm like, sorry, I do have my own pet. But, no, I'm good.
Can you continue on?
Yeah,
Randy?
yeah,
Because
no, I'm
it'll be
good.
only 15 minutes.
And so I was just beside myself on this, because it's just like, and I confronted him saying he knew all my information, why did you do that? He said he had my dog for about 11 days and it was very obvious that it was abused and neglected. And I said, are you kidding me? I'm like, that dog is so spoiled, that's the fattest dog, and you even had your wife put a post the night before saying that it looks to be well looked after. I said, one, yeah, she didn't have her collar on her, explain exactly why, and I said, two, yeah, she smells because she's rubbing around in all that like the cow poop and the grass and the smelly stuff, and I'm like, you just can't keep her out of it right now. And I'm like, and so I hung up the phone. I researched everywhere for a Beagle place because I couldn't understand why he would send it to a Beagle place. Because through the time, I kept watching the SPCA, knowing that usually everything goes to the SPCA, and the SPCA is super good about putting everything on if a missing dog comes in and they don't have anywhere to ID it. And so nothing was on there, so I just never bothered even contacting Les, thinking he had my information. So I was dealing with all that, trying to figure out, couldn't figure anything out, and then I ended up just messaging the mayor because I didn't know what to do. I read the bylaws, I said, seen the bylaws, but I've come forward knowing I am the owner, and at no time have I had anybody attempt to give me contact. And then it's been unheard of that somebody sent my purebred dog to Edmonton than anywhere else. Nothing made sense. Then I contacted Chris, and then I advised him it was about animal control, and then before contacting me, he contacted Les from Animal Control. When he called me back, he had Les in his office, and did a talk with him on speakerphone. So I again explained everything, what happened, and again, when I confronted why it was being done, Les is saying it was neglected, abused, and it's covered in feces. I have photos of it from the night before showing it wasn't anything like that. He's got a post saying that it's well looked after. I had to leave town for work, and so, because I found out from Chris that it was sent to a Basset Hound rescue place. So I searched on there to find where I could find one in Edmonton, and I messaged them there, and they refused to contact me back. I messaged them again, advising that I'm the owner, and they were to contact me in order for me to get my dog, and they refused to even contact me back. I was advised by Chris that they won't provide me the dog back unless Animal Control signs off on it. And I advised that there's no jurisdiction for him to even say it, and I'm not under an investigation for anything because I don't abuse or anything, neglect my animals at all. Anybody that knows me knows I'm really good to my animals. So I left town and there was a meeting and they decided, Les came in, he did a talk, I couldn't be here because I had to leave for work. And they decided on Les that I was not getting my dog back. So
Can I ask you what the vote was on that?
I just was told that it was a 45-minute thing and that council, I have an email I can look at for text, but that council voted against me getting it back. And so I pushed and pushed and pushed more because like this is ridiculous, and I spoke with the lawyer and everything too. And then I was given a spot to speak on a Sunday here in front of council. I don't know if I can speak of any of it, but council at that time, after I spoke and stuff like that, said that they agreed that I could have my dog back, but the conditions in order for me to get my dog back were ridiculous. And so I left because the morning after they had that meeting, I was outside my house, and animal control and his wife in the animal control vehicle were parked just literally just out front of our residence. So I took a picture of that and sent it to the mayor because it felt like now I'm being like really targeted, intimidated, and harassed. And so then they said that he said that he was returning a dog. So I went and spoke to the neighbor in regards to this, and the neighbor said that he approached them, asked them if they had a dog's license. They said they didn't and couldn't afford it. They had advised that, well, at least they know who the dog is, and if they find it out, they'll put it into the yard and they won't charge them. I spoke to other neighbors all around, and they all said that, and there's lots that have nuisance dogs in the neighborhood, and they just say that he just picks them up and puts them back in the yard. My dog is not a nuisance dog. She got out the one night, and then somebody broke into her yard, getting her out the next day. Like, I don't even know what to say about that. They called me back later after giving me a different offer, which was still going to cost me now thousands because it's like I have to as well go to Edmonton, pay every fee now of this rescue place, which is unheard of, sending her even over there. And so I got a lawyer and I sent a notice of requesting to have my dog back. Really basically just down to where it was just like I wouldn't go legally after the village, I wouldn't go legally after animal control, and that I wouldn't have the social media or the media and stuff involved in regards to it. I just want my dog back. And like the fees and stuff that they wanted are just ridiculous, and I don't know how that in camera works, if I'm even allowed to speak of what was offered to me there, because it's a pretty big deal there. And so, and then it's gotten worse, like since this all, it's just like, yeah, I've ended up in the hospital, I've ended up getting an ulcer, I had stress. It's just like I have severe PTSD from my work. My animals are something that helped me cope, and it's brought everything back. And it's like, now it's like, I go to work, the animal control is calling my work, animal control is going after talking to the NCO, like the people that run my work and stuff like that, to complain about me and stuff like that, of something that has nothing to do with my job. I've been advised from council that it's never been heard of that they've ever sent a dog out of province, that all animals have gone to SPCA. Nobody's gone to somebody's work and complained about them for something that's happening here in the city, like a civil matter here. And I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. I know I have so much more, but when you give me 15 minutes, it's like I have a lot of information that needs to be out still, and it's
Well, I need a seconder from my council to be able to go on.
I need a motion
For a motion. Sorry, a motion. You'll
I'll
motion to
motion.
send the delegation. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Go ahead, Darby.
Yeah, and so it's just, like, I'm liking, I want an explanation too, because it's just like, why is it I've been the only person that seems to be targeted here, and all the neighbors and stuff in the residential area that I live in, or out here, have advised that they're just picked up and put in, even unlicensed dogs and stuff here. And, hearing that and then never seeing him around my neighborhood, now he's there, now he's going to my work, like, it's just like, it's causing me nothing but stress and anxiety, and all I want is my dog back. And they've taken a piece of our family. I don't have other dogs. She's the only dog that we've had. She's 5 years old. I've had her since she was little. My boys grew up with her. It's just, like, it just, none of it is making any sense, and it's just, I don't know.
Do you have anything more to say?
I'm sure I'd have more to say after the questions and stuff like that you guys are gonna throw at me, because it's just like,
Chris, would you speak to this?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I actually don't have anything more to add. Randy, sorry, I didn't butcher your last name. How do you?
Guzik.
Guzik, sorry. Has actually touched on all of the points here that the village had leading to the impoundment, and that was, that the dog wasn't licensed. The dog was apprehended twice in 2 days at large in the community, and the animal control officer held it for over 10 days.
Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what Chris had to say?
me,
Yeah, did you hear what he said?
that, for me to say?
No, what Chris had to say, did you hear what he said?
No, sorry.
Oh,
Like,
sorry.
I'm sorry, when you're looking away, I can't.
Okay, and sorry, I tend to speak softly too. It was actually just repeating the points that you've
okay.
made, Randy, that the dog was unlicensed. And these were the circumstances leading to what Les had told us was the impoundment. That the dog was at large twice in 2 days in the community, and then he held it for over 10 days. So, and you shared all of that with us. So, yeah.
There's nothing, we've tried. We're trying.
It just, like legally, there's just no way that anybody can be able to keep me from, like, she's my property. And when you legally find, it's just like, oh, now you found the owner of that property, and it's just like, or no attempts at all, nothing to say like, hey, we're here, we really want to get this dog back to you. It was, and you were in the office when he said it, that I abused her and neglected her. And even at a council meeting, it was just like, it really feels vindictive, and like I'm being targeted, and I don't know why.
We don't know if you're being targeted. We have no idea. But we know that Les has to sign off on that dog going back to you. We've tried, we are trying, and we will still try and get Totem home to you. That's all I can say. I've been with you, trying to help you get your dog back. And I'm sorry for you, because I would be just as much as upset if someone took my dog away. And I'm sorry. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think at this point it's probably prudent or acceptable for me to speak to it. So following that council motion that Brandy talked about there, the second meeting, we did reach out to the village's lawyers, and they are attempting to get the dog back from from the Bassett Rescue Center. The Bassett Rescue Center, though, has put a line in the sand. They're lawyering up as well, and they refuse to even talk to our lawyers until their lawyers are in the mix. So, to Lorraine's point, we're trying, but it's in the hands of the lawyers now, and unfortunately, that seems to be where it has to play itself out.
So, we're trying, and we will try to get her back. Okay?
How is it that he can hold so much power in order to even do this? Because it's like, I know legally going after him, he can't.
It's a bylaw.
But it still doesn't, he's got no jurisdiction to even tell them that. Like, it makes the village look bad, because it's them support, like, it seems like they're supporting them.
Council changed their mind. Council decided for you to have your dog back. That's all I can say at this time. But we do support that you have your dog back.
Are they in contact with you guys? Because they won't even respond, I don't have a phone number, I don't have nothing.
Our lawyers are handling that. And when we find out, we'll find out. And believe me, I will probably drive you down there to get your dog. Because I don't. Anyway, thank you. Thanks for coming. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yes.
And I'm sorry. I really, truly am.
Is anybody else allowed to speak on, like, on our behalf of, like, our family or anything, or?
No, Brandy, we know, I know, and the village know that you are a good dog owner. I have talked to Wendy many times, and she even agrees with me that you're a good dog owner. So the lawyers are gonna try and get your dog back. And that's all, right now, that's all we can do. It's in the lawyer's hands. Okay? I'm sorry, boys, but we're trying.
What's happening with animal control, though, like, we went way out of jurisdiction here by accusing her of animal cruelty. The town or the village has no authority on that. Taking an animal out of the province is totally illegal. Like, you guys are putting yourself, and trust me, I'm all for poos. I don't want to see this get to where it is.
Oh,
But what is happening
went
with
too
animal
far.
control? Is anything being dealt with that?
That would be a different matter.
We can't discuss that.
We can't discuss that right now.
Well, that should be open to discussion here as a community.
No.
Because if this happens again, and I mean, the bylaws gotta be revamped here, obviously, you can't take a dog down to Edmonton and, like,
Yes, it
it's-
will be revamped.
I know you guys are lawyered up, and obviously you are, because there's a lot of repercussions that can come from this.
Oh, yes.
And I'm sure we're all on the same page. If anyone touched my animal, whew,
I know.
she wouldn't even go illegal.
Yeah.
But
From day one, I expected Brandy to have her dog back. From day one, I supported Brandy.
yeah, it makes no sense.
Yes. And I know Brandy through work, where she's not actually a friend of mine. She's not a client of mine.
Yeah.
I know her as a resident. And I would be thoroughly upset if it was not just a bloodhound or a basset hound or any kind of dog shipped out unless it was actually proving abuse.
Or vicious. I mean, vicious, I
Or
can see,
vicious,
totally
yes,
understand
vicious,
that.
I can
But a
understand.
basset hound, trig, like that's,
You know,
this is Newberry.
this is quite the pickle. It really is.
We are.
As an employer though, like if my employee went so far to the box, my first thing is get rid of him.
We can't discuss what's happening.
No, I realize that, but
But-
cover my butt.
But this is not an ideal situation for us to be in.
Oh, no,
On all sides.
Mm.
However, look what it's done, right? It's brought out all of you who care for this community in support of a member of this community. And that's what's special about this community. We're gonna get this resolved. Right? We're gonna try our best to get this resolved.
You're a good politician.
No, seriously, we are. Like, we're on phone constantly to the lawyer.
No, and
Get
I
that
trust
done.
you guys are, I'm just frustrated.
So you guys
No,
are
I know
awesome.
you're frustrated, I'm frustrated
You
too.
guys are awesome. Right? We were here, we asked the hard questions of both parties. And for you guys to come out and support Brandy, well done. Thank you.
But why were we against this at first, for her to have her dog back?
We
We
can't.
can't discuss
We can't
that.
discuss
We
it.
can't.
No, it was an independent meeting and we can't discuss it. So I'm sorry, Brandy. But I will make sure Chris keeps in contact with the lawyer and the lawyer as soon as we get anything.
And vice versa, if your lawyer contacts you, please.
Please let us know if you have it. Okay. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Motion for 5 minutes.
Everybody's leaving.
Stephen, I'll put a small shower.
Yep.
I figure they shouldn't have accused him of stealing it. I thought it'd be a home right now if that wouldn't happen. He always dug his heels in. He doesn't like being falsely accused.
I know, he's got his heels up.
God, you know, this could have been solved so much easier, but he got stabbed in the back. It could have been done and done with already. I could get it fixed. If anybody's gonna talk to him, it's gonna be me, but when I hear the kind of lies that are here, oh my God, man. This information is, now I know both sides. That's why I came here, I wanted to hear her side. Do I really feel she was abusing him? I don't think so. And I could probably convince him of that, if somebody would have had a freaking spine. Right? He didn't steal that dog. Village Poos called him to pick it up. Was it his wife that drove him? No, it was Vicky. Vicky drives him, because he's disabled. He's a disabled senior. Steal a dog for profit? I think we haven't seen the email. Somebody's in trouble already, but it ain't him. It's really unfortunate that there's no somebody should have spine. I'm gonna talk to him,
Okay.
because I want to see that dog only too,
Yeah, we all do.
right?
Yes.
But they shouldn't have accused him of stealing.
Well, I know.
I'm gonna talk to him. I don't like this either.
Yeah, she should. Glasses.
Huh?
They're getting into it. No. Glasses. Okay. You okay with it? Well, let's stick it up for a day. I don't know.
Sandy, was that Leslie's son?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I have a different story too. It's really, the whole thing.
I don't think we were gonna be able to end up all the chairs. I'm clean out a room, eh?
Just a little.
Okay, just talk.
Holly and I are going to Grand Prairie on Friday.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
How's he feeling?
You gonna spruce them all up?
They got heavy duty sand last week.
He didn't cut his hair too?
What's that?
Said he didn't cut his hair too?
The best man. You better get a picture.
Oh, yeah.
He shaved off his beard, cut his hair, maybe.
It was way before I knew.
Anyway, Kelsey, my daughter, didn't even recognize him. She came in and like, she'd never seen him clean shaven.
Well, that was my first time. If I had been in the room when he shaved his beard off, I wouldn't have done it. And he was always giving me a hard time for double chin and he was double chin. Are they still there?
It's 5 minutes are up.
I have no how.
They're up behind the smoke, aren't they? They're up behind the smoke, aren't they? Jason. Ah, you can compete again. I need that.
6:22.
The council hears a delegation from Isaac Hernandez, am I saying that right? Of the North Wing Wellness Center. He's coming to update council on Peace Haven.
Second. All in favor? Come on up.
I'm so eager to talk. Well, even though good evening everyone, and thank you for the opportunity and for facilitating this. Even though we already did introductions, the president of the board of directors is here, Laura Webb. Martha Funk is our addictions consultant for the center. And Elizabeth Flores is our finance person at the center. And I work as a director. I know there's been a lot of questions. I have received a lot of phone calls from people concerned about what happened. But we would like to use the few minutes that we have to update you on what's going on and what our project is all about. Especially because we need a resolution to present to the insurance company. And also the board of directors need to decide what the next step is going to be. And so I briefly will introduce you to the package that you have received, which is a summary of our business case. We acquired the property in 2015, and since then, for 2 years, there was a group of about 70 experts across the province working on a business case. So we came out with a business case called ARC, and then we added the H, because a year ago, BC Housing came on board and they got interested in the project, and even though their mandate is to support housing, they also support addictions in a secondary level. So basically what they do is they have this process across the province where they like to find safe homes, as they call it, or safe houses, where they put a person that needs to go to treatment. Because most treatment centers, including ours, we have at least 14 days of sobriety of being dry before they come to treatment. And so the problem is that is individual X once is waiting to go to treatment, but they don't have those days. They don't get accepted. So what BC Housing does is they put these people in a safe house, in a safe environment where they can achieve the time for sobriety, and then they can go to treatment. And once they finish treatment, they go back to the safe house where they continue to work with them in their recovery. So in that way is how BC Housing came involved with us. So we've been working for the last year on preparing our program and how it's gonna function. And our idea is to have all the components of all the continuum of care for addictions under one roof. It will be the first treatment center of its kind in Canada, although it is very popular in the US. We have about 750 centers like that in the US, and very popular in Europe as well. And that's where most of our information is coming from the research. And if you can see there in page number 2, the second page, that's the list of the most prominent contributors to this business case. In other words, these are experts in the field, including the newly formed BC Ministry for Mental Health and Addiction. And the format that we choose for this presentation, so I'm missing a page here in my presentation. Then the third page that you have, those are statistics just from the year April 1st, 2017 to March 31st, 2018. Oh, thank you. So these are programs that are run on a volunteer basis in the little place that we have in Farmington. And basically we provide outpatient programs, day patient program, and continuum of care. And you have the number of people that participate in those programs. Some of them are run in conjunction with the health unit in Dawson Creek, and that's where, for example, the dialectic behavioral therapy, as well as the stress management. So is the AA and the acquired brain injury support group. So we are involved in all of that. So these numbers here, or these stats, are accomplished just by doing volunteer work. So our dream for the new center is that we decided in the 4 areas there based on the building that we had, because that was our goal to use it there. So the idea is to have an early recovery housing. Let's say a company has a person that is working and they are having problems with addictions, but the person cannot afford to quit work and go for 6 weeks or 90 days, as our program is going to be for treatment. So then they can just drop in, come to sessions, sign up, and receive counseling on a weekly basis, a daily basis, a monthly basis, whatever is needed. So that would be the early recovery housing. Then the second part of the program will be the stabilization or the detox. That's intervention. So if the police pick up a person that is drunk or high on drugs, and that person manifests the desire to get help, then instead of taking them into the drunk tank, as they call it, or taking them to the hospital, they can drop it at the center, and there will be qualified personnel there to provide 24/7 supervision, stabilize them, work with them, and later on incentivize them to go into the next stage, which is treatment. And that program will be double up in terms of the length, because right now we are only providing 6 weeks of programming. So in the new extension program, it will be 90 days. So it will be 12 weeks. And our idea is that those that finish the program will stay for another 2 years in the facility. And in that, we will provide assisted recovery, assistance. And they will, I'm being redundant here, but what they will do is that they will receive training in the job search, they will receive job skills. We are partnering with the college for the trade programs, and they could live there for 2 years, and that's where BC Housing comes into place. So they can live there and pay the rent, they will be self-supporting. We will have some initiatives for work for them as well. And so they will be just sleeping there, going out, doing their work, coming back, and they will have a coach, a peer coach that will be encouraging them and making sure that they don't miss the appointments and stuff like that. So the dream is that by the end of the 2.5 years that they have been through the program, they will be productive members of society. It has been proved that this is effective. And the aftercare of the 2 years program is based on accountability and honesty. And it's a very brutal program in terms of keeping them accountable to their facts, to what they are doing in their life, to being responsible at work, to being moral citizens in the community. That's where the main bulk of the program comes. So you can read through the information there for each of the areas. And at this stage, this is what we are dreaming to do, and the fact that we lost the building here, First National Health Authority, as well as our board of directors, have decided that the cost of putting that building up to code was too much. However, we have received from BC Housing the suggestion that not to tear the building down, but we just changed the roof, changed the windows and the areas that needed to be fixed and use it for housing purposes. So that was our dream until the incident that took place. So we continued with the dream, and we were in the midst of raising funds through BC Housing. The CMHC is involved as well as the Ministry of Mental Health and Addiction, First National Health Authority, as well as Northern Health. We are trying to incorporate them as part of this. And I lost my train of thought.
Funding.
You're
Sorry, I have an acquired brain injury and sometimes it's difficult to keep track. Yeah, so we are, recently we applied for what they call a PDF, Pre-Development Funds, I think it's called. We applied for PDF and the Prince River Regional District, they gave us their support, they gave us a letter, but the grant was denied to us. It's $25,000 that we applied for. And they said that our program was too advanced for them to support the initial stages of the program. So basically, they said no. So it's unfortunate because what we were planning to do with that funding was we were gonna match it. The society was gonna match those $25,000 and we were gonna pay a consultant to do a study of where was the best location for the program. And we have the two locations in mind. We have here in Cuscupi, the property that we have in Farmington, which is 150 acres, and a third property. Unfortunately, the third property didn't come out. We were looking at O'Brien's school in Dawson Creek. We went and looked at the school in Rolla, but it won't suffice for our needs. So we didn't incorporate the third property. We're still in that part of the process.
So why didn't those two buildings work for you?
Well, one is too small, and then the other one is because we are too close to a school. So in terms of being cautious about it, because we will be working with people from corrections as well. So we have in mind the safety of the community where we are going to be working at.
And this one isn't close to the school?
It is, but it's not in the same, not the proximity that O'Brien is. Yes.
The building, the old Peace Haven that's burnt, are you gonna have some kind of cleanup on that for the fall? Or are you just gonna fence it and leave it to do another 4 years of studies and just leave it like that? Or are you going to do something?
Well, right now, the fire investigator is still working on it. We haven't received an official word in terms of what was the reason of the fire. I met with the person on Tuesday when he was looking at the property because he couldn't make sense in the basement where the boiler room was located because of all the rubble that is in there, all the debris. So we haven't received I was expecting a person from the insurance to be here today because she wanted to hear your opinion on it as well. But something must have happened, or maybe they are dealing with the other case. Whatever the case is, but as soon as that takes place, then we have a definite response from the insurance, then the insurance will proceed with the cleanup.
And what will the cleanup be? The whole building tore down, or?
Yeah, they're gonna remove it. Because in the study that First National Health Authority did in November of 2017, then it turned out that half of the rooms upstairs, the linoleum were contaminated with asbestos at 20%, which was a minimal amount, but still it demands from WCB to do the proper cleanup. So it's gonna be a costly process for we hope that the insurance policy will assist with that, but it's gonna be a really costly process. The insurance adjuster has informed us that it will cost anywhere between $400 to $1 million to clean the place properly. And so, but everything is lined up already. It's just that we have to wait for the proper protocols to take place. So We still continue with this plan. in
Are you,
terms of-
just a minute, are you concerned about the liquor store and the weed store there, or are you not concerned with that?
In terms of?
Them being so close?
No, no, because the programs are calls for the accountability and the honesty of the participant. And it's really a rigorous program, and we don't see that as a problem. Besides that, they will have, they will be under security, they will have 24/7 supervision, same as we do right now with the program in Farmington. So we don't see that as, we cannot guarantee that there won't be any problems, but that's our goal, that's our aim. So at this point, yesterday the insurance company asked me what was our plan, what was our next step. I said, well, we are in the process of analyzing the properties. We haven't decided that yet. And then they asked me, what's the position of the council in Cusco? And I says, I don't have a clear idea on that. I said, but we work through that. And the reason why they were asking that is because they thought that we might be requesting, what is it called, the term that they use? A payout amount instead of
Pardon me?
payout amount.
A payout.
Yeah, instead of rebuilding in the proper in this location. So I would say if there is a strong opposition to us being here in the community, now is the time for you to voice this out, and it will benefit both the community and us, because then we can move firmly into looking for another location for the program.
I don't understand what you're saying.
He's saying he'll take a payout and move it if council opposes him having that center down. If council is okay with it, then I will.
Then we'll let the insurance review that. There are pros and cons in terms from us, from a perspective. There are pros and cons either way that we go, but it will be I guess the initiative will come out from this council.
Would you be so kind as to cite 2 pros and 2 cons for the community?
One, there will be employment
For people of the
for
community?
people that will be working in the.
As
in the
well.
hotel.
For residents, employment opportunities for residents.
Yes. And one of that, even right now in Farmington, one of our aims as a society is that we hire locally. Unless we don't have a person qualified to do the work, and then somebody can come from outside. But even though this charity was established, society first and then charity was established with an indigenous component on it, we've always been open to hire the best person qualified for the job, to go locally, and also we provide the services to whoever needs assistance. The only thing that we tell when a person, let's say a Caucasian person wants to come to treatment, we say we are indigenous based. We celebrate these particular ceremonies like the blanket ceremony, the pipe ceremony, the sweat, and said, are you willing to respect this? You don't have to participate, but are you willing to respect this? And if the person is willing to respect, then they are welcome to do this.
What were the cons?
And the possibility of breaking out of the program. That's one, I would say, the one that got more immediately. I don't know if maybe you guys want to pitch into this. What would be a pro and a con in terms of the center for the community? Let me give you an example, if I can. I just came back from Salt Lake, Utah. I went to see one of the therapeutic communities that we have there, and after which we are trying to model them. And one of the initiatives that they have established in the communities are moving companies. Of course, they are big city, and there is demand for that. There are several moving companies in the city, Now, this particular program that I observed, they work only with convicted felons. There are people that have been in and out of jail 32 times. And then they apply for this program, and if they get accepted, then the correction system will allow them to go and receive the program there for 2 years. Now, when they start to work, let's say, in the moving company, then they go the extra mile. One of the things, because the program is based on accountability and honesty, the first thing that they say if I hire them to move, then the first thing that they will tell me is, we are convicted felons. We've been in jail so many times, but we are working our lives. Are you willing to allow us to do your work?
I need a motion. To make this meeting go longer.
Oh, sorry.
Anybody have do a motion?
For the delegation? Also.
Not second, I'll second. Go ahead.
I guess what I would really want to say is that I think because we're working with the Northern Lights College and we're working to bring in certain trades programs in here that are not available already, and I think in that instance that would also be a real con or a real pro to the community. Because, you know, we're not just bringing it in for us, we're also bringing it in for the community. And we will be looking at programs that are going to be relevant to this area. We're not going to train these people so that they can go work in the States, or, you know what I mean? It's going to be with local trades, set up things like apprenticeships. So I think that would benefit the community a great deal. The other thing too is that in my line of work, addictions is something that takes a long time to deal with. So this program, I think, will be a success because we're taking the 2.5 years to develop this, to put a person through this whole program. And if you put somebody in for 6 weeks, the success rate is not that great, but you do have some success rate. You have to keep working with that person. But with a 2.5-year program, you keep working, keep supporting that person and keep getting that person into that stream where they would come out of it and they would start moving into a successful, they would have been dealt with their addictions to a great extent, and that they will have this continual support even after they leave, because we will have also an outreach program that they could always fall back on. And I think a lot of the community members, or I don't know about, I'm really seriously, I'm not saying this community, but some communities prefer to work with outreach programs. So right now that's what I can think of, and I needed to say that. Thank you.
Can I have a motion? You want to speak?
If you're allowed to.
Okay.
It's a great question you gave, and it took me a few minutes just to think, because the perspective you asked for was for that of the village. And so I wanted to concur with Isaac that for employment not only for people here in Pouce or surrounding region, but just for the whole region, and that training, which is a huge part of what is lacking in our area, right? People having the trades to do the work for this region. The housing component, we know that housing is an issue. It's an issue in the whole Northeast. If you're in low income, it's an issue. So additional housing for the area. Something that's not in our region currently is the detox center. I work in the whole Northeast, and the whole Northeast is talking about that in order for you to get detox, I mean, any of us could have an addiction. Any of us could be, struggling with an addiction, and the closest place for you to go for detox is Prince George. Yes, you could go to Grand Prairie, but the way MSP, Medical Service Plan, is working, the health authority doesn't want you to go to province to acquire services. So they'll try to say, go to Prince George. Well, if you're asking me to stop drinking and I'm struggling with my drinking, and then you ask me to get on a bus and get to a treatment center, because maybe by that time
We
I
don't
don't
have
have
it around anymore.
Yeah, we're gonna struggle just even to get to Point Storage for some help. So having a treatment center, a detox center, huge. Having a business and industries clinic is also a big thing, because the Northeast is about business and industry. And if we can provide services for our region, within our region, you don't have to go to Vancouver to get some help.
Did you want to say something, John?
No, I'm just asking. You're saying that when you go to Prince George, they only keep you there for a week.
Right. It's a very short time period.
Yes.
They'll put you in for minimum amount of stays.
Yes, and then they assess you, and then they'll send you down south.
Right. And it's hard to go down south. The other piece is the health program. So currently, the center does a lot of health program, and that will be something that will be open to the general public as well. These groups will not be just closed groups for people who are in the center. These are going to be open groups that include health groups for the general population. And along with the detox, there's going to be a doctor and there's going to be nurses on staff. Now, whether or not that can be a conversation about added services for the rest of the village, that would be another conversation.
Okay.
Did you want some comments? Because I came up with a couple.
I would like to, can I ask a question or a statement? Listen, I really like what you're doing. I believe we should have a rehab center. Right? I like the concept. I just don't like it for Poos, and I'm going to tell you why. For two reasons. For number one, we're a growing community. Our school is bursting at the seams. We have kids that are being bused into Dawson because we can't facilitate them here in Poos. We're bringing in another portable to house them or to school them. We have so many children here, and the potential security risk, I'm not liking that, and I'm not willing to support it because of that. On top of that, due to the proximity to the existing businesses of drugs and alcohol, which is legally available, so.
Your motion? You're making a motion?
Well, I don't know if I want to make the motion, I'm just stating why I'm not for it. But I do believe if there was a place outside of Poos Coopy, we could support it, right? That's where I'm at.
And I'm not that way too, but we need to have a motion.
You need a point of order. I don't think we should make a motion.
I just got a text from Chris to say. Donna?
Well, I think it's too close to everything.
Okay, so can you do a motion?
To discuss it or what?
A motion to oppose it.
I'll make the motion to oppose it.
All in favor?
And it's good.
Who seconded?
I did. Marlene did.
Okay.
No, Marlene, yeah.
Sorry, but.
No, that's, no, sorry. This is what we've been looking for, and I mean, not the decision, but we wanted, as I mentioned back in November 30th when we met. Yeah.
We
It would be
will
great.
retain the property.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
to retain the property.
Retain it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I guess you guys can provide a written motion for that, your decision and stuff.
Yeah.
So then that will be quite instrumental for us to continue with the process.
Yeah.
And it will even save us money as well, because now we can focus just in the one property that we can use.
Yeah.
So thank you for the opportunity, and
Thank you for your work.
Yes, thank you.
We appreciate it, but we just can't have
See it where it's at, where the building.
Where you guys are now, out there, Farmington, I'm
Yes.
for it.
mhm,
I'm for it 100%.
mhm.
Because it's needed.
It's needed. So if you need a support letter from us to have it more out there, get funding for out there.
We're gonna approach the Peace River Regional District because we need to adjust other items in there. One of them is the zoning, because it's farmland. We have to transfer the institution, and there is a lot of things that we need to work on. And we will be needing the support of the whole Peace River regional district.
Which would be, but the village, it helps too if you get a letter from
Yeah.
each city
Yes.
or each village or each municipality.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much,
you.
and thank you
Thank you.
for
Thank you.
making the decision.
Okay. Sorry, but thank you.
No, that's okay, thank you.
Brian, you're coming here? Unfinished business, business arising, minutes, none, new business.
Recommendation that council receive a letter from Gerald Weather regarding the building of a fence. He is requesting a variance.
Second?
Discussion?
So how do we go about doing a variance?
So, Chris, the bylaw states that we're allowed,
The fence height is a maximum of 4 feet in the current bylaw, or the metric equivalent of it. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. So if council would like to entertain that request, a simple motion directing administration to go through the public variance consultation process. We'll get the
I'll make
ball
that
rolling.
motion.
I'll second.
all in favor? Okay. So you will do that, Chris? And then 8.2, recommendation.
The council received a letter from Janet Pope requesting to have their own security down at Goose Park for a wedding. See attached letter.
Second.
Any discussion?
Of course. Of course.
Now, I've got a question. For the security, for the, like, we want to put security there the Friday night and the Saturday night. We'll do all the cleanup Sunday if possible. We'll have it spotless. Do I need insurance for that security? Yep. Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Chris?
One more thing, Your Worship, just to touch on that letter, and jumping the gun, council hasn't had a chance to discuss it yet, but the letter mentioned that the applicant would like the gate to be locked. I'd recommend against that. If there's somebody locked in here overnight, there's any kind of problem, we can get in or
They can
out,
give-
so.
Can we give
They
them,
can close it out. They can close it. They just
Close
can't
it.
lock it.
Yeah.
can we not just give them? a
That,
key?
that's fine.
Yeah,
For emergency services, they wouldn't have a key or access.
no, so if there was a need for an ambulance or something like that, the gate would be locked, and so I'd recommend against that piece.
Well, I hope they don't need an ambulance. Because I'll be the one getting called first.
Just in case.
I'd like to make that motion. That we allow them to have security at the park.
You're just approving the letter. that's all.
Just approving the letter.
All in favor? Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I will have the insurance hopefully tomorrow for you.
Yeah, she'll need a copy of it.
Yes.
Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jen.
And I'll see you at the wedding. Thank you.
We're all coming, we're crashing. Are you going to your recommendation?
Tell Ken to text me or whatever to let me know how many how many meals I need.
Thank you.
Will do.
8.3 recommendation.
The council award the paving contract to Peter Brothers with the work laid out in option 6 in the amount of $73,924.46 to be started as soon as possible.
So, just to make this clear, this is a client of mine and Chris's, so we have to step out of the room, so Ken?
I believe Bart.
Oh, Barb is mayor too?
Okay, I have a couple of questions for discussion first before we,
Second, please.
Second.
No, you can't second.
No, she's already on.
Okay,
can
now,
second. Pick it up.
go for it.
there's two different quotes here.
Well, that's DGS and there's Petersburg.
Yeah, but my question is, the quotes, are they two different layers of gravel to build this road? Do
The
we?
specs are the same if you read the report.
Okay,
Yeah.
They're
okay.
the same. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay, and when we had the staff meeting, we discussed this, we went over them with the Public Works Director, bit by bit, and between the two quotes, if we ask Peter Brothers to do exactly what DGS was doing, we figure it's only a couple $1,000s more, and it still is under what DGS was.
Yeah,
So-
and they also didn't give us a quote for the third one, for 49th Avenue.
Yeah. So,
So we have budgeted for it?
that's under the budget.
So, all in favor?
All in favor?
Let's go.
Good.
none opposed.
You can come back now.
You can come back now. No,
We're
they
done.
left.
Well, we'll continue with that.
Okay. 8.4, the council agreed to place the welcome sign after the banner.
You can't be here.
Oh, right.
The council agreed to place the welcome sign after the bend at Jab's Corner.
Second.
Hey, I'm here to keep notes.
We're trying to get stuff done while you're gone.
Oh, sorry. You got better. Wine at the next meeting.
Oh, I do have one in the fridge. Okay, welcome sign, next. Are we in favor or not?
Well, I don't know how many
Okay,
people are gonna see it there.
8.4 recommendation?
We already did that.
Okay, so,
All in favor?
no,
Oh,
do you have
second.
questions?
Oh,
Do you have a seconder?
okay, who read this?
I did.
Donna did, and Ken, second.
Second, okay. So, discussion.
No?
Is it okay to have it at Jab's Corner? Is that what you?
The highway?
I think that's our property boundaries.
Okay, so you guys had suggested us moving it back to 11 Road, which is around the bend.
Well, we started our property.
And that was the issue, your worship, when we brought it up at the staff meeting, you know, and I can bring it up here now if you guys want on the screen, just to see what we're talking about. Putting it all the way back to the actual boundary at the edge of Mr. Moses' property at the edge of 211 Road seems so far out of town that it's almost not even relevant, even though.
Well, it is welcome to Pooskookie. That is Pooskookie area.
Yeah, technically, just the consensus of staff when we discussed it was to propose this, you guys can overrule us on that.
Let's just move it around the bend so it kind of looked like we're
It looks
actually
like
going
that's-
into the
No,
town.
somebody
not
already
out.
did it. Going around those corners.
No, it'll be off the highway. It's way off.
I can bring it up on the screen if you
No,
guys want.
I'm fine with it at Jab's Corner, or at the, 211 Road.
Okay, so the motion is this one first. So is a no or yes?
No, I don't want it on Jab's Corner.
It won't be on Jab's Corner, your worship, it'll be on
Up on
the
it.
inside of the corner, just at the apex of the corner, so that as you see the sign, you can kind of see the village at the same time, as opposed to being on that straight stretch before you even come around.
See the sign and then you don't see Poos for
No,
another.
right, yeah, and that's kind of where we landed with it at the staff meeting.
I prefer 211 Road, but, I mean, that's everybody else's. What do you think?
I don't think it's a real big issue. Right, coming into Goose is a good place to have it, so
Leave it?
I'm happy with where it's at.
With where it's at now.
Where we're
Jab's
with the
Corner,
motion
or
that's
there.
currently on the books.
You want it on Jab's Corner?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna have bendable posts, so if someone hits it, we don't get sued?
It'll be off the
Probably don't have
road.
it anyway.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it's
Have you seen where those trucks go?
Yeah, I know, but I haven't seen too many people in the ditch there lately, so.
Jab's Corner and
We'll
what?
make sure it's a
No, I
bend.
drive there every friggin' day.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, I will oppose. Okay, 8.5 recommendation.
The council decided the donation amount that they would like to give Pooskookie Elementary School for their contribution in the garbage cleanup within the village.
Can I get a seconder? Discussion.
How much should we give them last year for the cleanup, please? $1,000?
That's what we've given
Yeah.
in the last couple of years.
So we'll do it again.
Sure.
All in favor? 8.6 recommendation.
The council decided they wish to continue with the planter reimbursement program.
Can I have a seconder?
Second.
I never even knew we changed money.
Discussion?
It's $150.
I think we should.
Yeah, keeps them planted.
How many years did I do it again? Nothing.
All in favor?
You okay at the $150?
Yeah.
8.7 recommendation.
The council decided they would like the Dawson Creek Art Gallery to hold art classes twice a week in June at a cost of $1,800 and 1 to 2 classes through July and August at the cost of $2,025, 1 class a week to $4,050, 2 classes a week for all classes. So the total would be from?
Yeah, the whole total will be.
I'll
Can I have a
second.
How much did we budget?
Discussion.
Is it in our budget for this amount of money?
Chris?
Yeah, thank you, your worship. Theoretically, well, the amount that we budgeted for was set to come out of the donations GL for this year, the previous motion the council approved. But the motion was based on the art gallery presenting with 1 to 2 classes a month that they would be able to do. So I've already taken the liberty of sending the manager of the art gallery an email saying, well, hang on a sec, this is a pretty big stretch from what you guys have proposed. She came back and said, well, Chris, you sent me an email that said, feel free to book the room as you see fit. And we took that to mean we can do as many as we want. I said, well, no, that as you see fit there was meant to say we're not concerned whether or not it's Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of a particular day of the week, or whether it's back-to-back weeks or alternating weeks. That wasn't meant to imply, okay, go ahead and create an open-ended relationship, book it 10 times in a month, and then just send us the bill. But I did mention to the manager that you guys have this letter here tonight, and if council was open to the idea, then so be it for sure. But that this seemed to be a pretty big departure from what they'd presented the first time.
Do we know how many people have attended the previous art programs that
They're listed there.
It's in the reports. I think the high point was somewhere in the 20s and the low point was somewhere around 5.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to take out of our donation thing.
I don't think I think it's what we originally agreed on is what we continue to go for.
Well, this isn't engraved in stone. This was more or less a trial, right? This is brand new, and we were concerned with what it was going to cost us right at the get-go. You know what? And summertime, the kids are going to be out playing, and how many are going to want to go back into the school to do some arts and crafts midweek or on the weekend?
And summer holidays.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm not in favor of this at all. My vote's no.
Yeah.
To start it up again maybe in the fall.
Sure.
Or bring it back to us in September.
Chris?
Thank you, Worship. Just to make sure I'm cleared so that I can get back to the art gallery manager. If council says no to the additional dates, are you guys still in favor of the 1 or 2 a month carried forward as originally agreed? Yes. Okay.
All in favor? Oh, hold on. No, first you need a motion on, you're saying you're all in favor of this? No, we're all in favor of what we just said before. Okay, but we haven't had a vote on this one yet. We all said no.
Candy said no.
Do a motion.
All in favor?
All in favor? Or opposed to this?
Opposed. Thank you.
Right, now, can we move on? Correspondence, does anybody see anything here?
Yes, 9.1, the letter from the BC Liquor Board. They're talking about liquor and cannabis regulation branch policy 19-03. I have some questions. They're going to implement these rules and regulations. Is it the municipalities that have to enforce them? Or
So you want a letter wrote out to?
what is our obligation to these policies? Like, do we have to police them, collect the money?
This was for information as far as I know.
Yeah.
I know, but if they're coming down the line, it's a policy. And what I want to know, is it going to be downloaded on the municipality to enforce and collect?
So do you want a letter wrote? For the Chris to,
Yes, please.
and what do you want to put in the letter?
Want to know
What are responsibilities?
what is the municipality's responsibility with these policies? Do we have to implement them, collect the money?
You can put it in your words, couldn't you, Chris?
I sure can, Your Worship.
I was of the opinion that those that levy fines would continue to do so. And those that collect the money would continue to do so.
Yeah.
Is there a motion on the table or?
She put a motion on the table. All in
Second?
favor?
No? Okay. Good, that's right, lad.
That's right, for letter. Anybody, anything else? Resolutions none, bylaws none, administration reports, CAO report.
My turn.
Go for it.
So I'm gonna kick things off by saying it's been a crazy busy couple of weeks in the village of Pouce and for administration and for the council as well. So between NCLGA, the East Haven fire, I caught pneumonia for about 4 days, went to FCM, and then got back after a 17-hour trip to a 5 a.m. alarm that we had a second building on fire in town this morning. It's been an interesting few weeks to say the least, but before I get too much into the report, I wanted to sort of wrap that all up by thanking Sandy and staff for getting us through all of this stuff over the last few weeks. Yeah, it's not easy to manage.
For not quitting back. We appreciate you for not quitting. It's not over yet.
Moving on to some of the good stuff, tax notices have all gone out, and those members of council that have received it, you'll notice I spent some time putting together a really quick tax info pamphlet in there to give the residents an idea about, the pie chart on where the tax money comes from, and then also the Schedule A from the budget, because despite having packed houses for all the budget meetings, that information might not be out there. Spent extensive time over the last 3 weeks working on the bylaw file that was presented here tonight, so this has been quite time consuming. And just to reconfirm everything, we are working to see council's wishes fulfilled with that file. The museum's been getting some work, some of the work that they requested. The kiosk is up, and really it's a directional sign. It took me a while to really fully understand what a kiosk actually meant too, but so that's good. Public Works was engaged to do that. The railings have been fixed. I've been told that the painting is scheduled to start next week. And the big takeaway from that is there was some back and forth between us and the museum and council about things getting done. So we've implemented a really good work order process that allows it to be tracked and scheduled properly and stuff. And that was actually an idea, Sandy, so that seems to be working out really well. Skate park is nicely underway. Some of the base footings have already been poured. I went and took a look at that today among other things. So I bumped into a lady and her son down there who gave us a big thank you and said they can't wait for that facility to be up and running. So
I can add one more to that. Josh was in here on Friday, and apparently the forms are supposed to be here by the end of this week.
awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. The slide at the lagoon site, I've been in contact with Urban Systems. They're scheduling or setting up a soil stability analysis with SNC, with a soil expert from SNC Lavalin to give us an idea of what we're dealing with there. Once that happens, it's got to get kicked back to Josh for a work plan on how to fix it. I am going to reach out to disaster assistance and see if we can get any provincial support for that, because it is, in my view, technically a landslide that's caused this damage. So hopefully the province will agree and support us with some funding there. We are still discharging right now, and all the proper reports and everything will be given to the province. I got a call from Calvin with CN Rail Real Estate. I'm hoping to have a chat with him. We ended up playing phone tag. We haven't quite connected full on here, but we're hoping to have a chat about the rail yard and then the crossing on 57th, which was part of the motion tonight for the paving. We've got a confirmation from NCLGA that our resolution is going to UBCM. And then just to confirm too, we do have a face-to-face meeting scheduled with members of BC Assessment to talk about it before it even goes up to UBCM.
What date is that again?
July 23rd.
Not the letter.
July 23rd.
Yeah.
The letter from UBCM is in here, confirming the resolution.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah, so, and then last but not least, just thank council for the opportunity to have gone to NCLGA and FCM both this month. I haven't had time to put together the full report for FCM, but that'll be coming in the next few days. That's it for me.
Okay. Any action items here?
Sandy?
Can I ask questions, kind of tack on to his report, because I have some things we need to ask. We have gotten, in regards to Canada Day, we have had one person call in to volunteer, and Al has about 8 people lined up to volunteer.
Yeah, you told me.
So, in order for us to go forth, we need to find out what your final decision is on times and stuff, so we can start booking everybody, because we do not have anybody booked.
I think we agreed to 4 o'clock.
well, you had said you would wait until so if you want to set it for 12:04, okay? Marty Peterson is the band that we're gonna have. He's got a special guest that he's got lined up, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But instead of
Mark Fletcher?
no, Jim something, I think. He's not in here. Anyway, instead of $1,600, he's going to charge us $2,000 because he's bringing this special guest in.
We don't need a special guest. If you want to bring a special guest, you can do the $1,600.
Yeah.
Okay, I will take that back. You know, painting. Les from the museum has requested that council, would like to know if council would like to ride on their float that they're putting together, the Settlers Roundup.
Sure.
And you might want to wait till you answer.
As long as I'm not naked, I don't care.
No, you won't be naked. Thank God.
Yeah.
He has asked if council would be willing to dress in period costumes.
Yeah, as long as he's got the costume picked out for him.
Okay. And fireworks, are we?
I'm not.
Well, it might even just be a hat. I was told today that it could be just a hat.
What about our
Fireworks.
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna ask folks. If you guys are going on the museum float, do we need a village one for this year, or can we just do one nice big super float for
We can help donate time or something over there.
Absolutely.
And fireworks, do we not, you discuss not having them?
Well, what depends on the fire ban, right?
Well,
It all depends on the fire ban, and if it's raining.
okay, so
We
you,
won't know on the rain.
the last meeting we talked about this, you said no fireworks. So you want to make it weather dependent and fire ban dependent.
But don't we have fireworks
Comfortable with there
stuff?
We
being-
do, but you want us to be what?
I'm comfortable with there being fireworks.
You're not
People
comfortable?
complain,
I am comfortable with there being no fireworks.
Okay.
No fireworks.
but people complained last year there was no fireworks.
The thing is, it was
It's
fire
raining.
season.
Well, I know it's raining.
And there was a fire ban on last year, we couldn't have them.
So let's put it this way, maybe folks, assuming that we can run both from a weather standpoint and a fire event standpoint, do you want to go ahead with them, or are you
Can you
okay?
get that for grant?
Our Canada Day grant is like $4,000.
But we have some left over, though.
We
We
have
have-
some left over.
There's
yeah.
about $3,200 worth.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you're okay with?
So don't purchase any more, just use
Yeah.
Okay, and that said, with the volunteers, do we still want to do we still want to do the t-shirts and the water bottles, the hat, the voucher?
For the volunteers.
Okay, I'm also gonna have to order some of the councils some t-shirts because some of them don't have it. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you very much.
Did you have a question?
Well, since you guys are touching on the Canada Day festivities, that's what I was here to learn about. So I don't know if that's where I should.
Volunteer, Jason?
It works like that because there's not always budgets, right? I definitely would love to be. I want to get involved and see it grow because I think it's awesome that Poos owns, or to me, Poos owns Canada Day, and like other people next door talk about. I'm like, Poos already does Canada Day. I'm curious about in the what's down in the camera, the park. So yeah.
Park this year because it's
No,
not ready.
yeah, but that's it's in my mind ever since the floods. I'm like, oh man, because it was awesome down there. Or like, that's great. I know everybody understands probably that it's awesome down there, right? So yeah, I'm curious also about who to I called City Hall, or I called the village, and I was directed to come here to find out more about getting involved. I also want to put in I want to do a float, one, but I also wanted to get involved in supplying possibly production, equipment, and that sort of thing, or just,
Sorry, you're not from East Country Toilet, are you?
no.
Okay, sorry.
I'm from Dawson.
Okay.
What kind of production are you talking?
Well, I can do all this. I got sound gear. I don't have all the tenting like trail, but I understood last year that he supplies some of the tents and the staging that was in the two tent, like the stage in the two of the tents, like.
We rented that, did we not?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Trail is what I understood. You know, which are weird angles because there's this two of those types of stages in town already. It seems weird that we could ship out to Trail, but what, I don't know the logistics. Anyway, so yeah, Marty wants to bring Jim. I don't know if what other music, because I know Uncle Joe and the guys are dump truck played. So I don't know. I would like to play. So I would love to just get involved. I don't know who's in charge of like organizing that thing.
Your worship, perhaps in the effort of respecting council's time here, if you guys are okay, I can give Jason a business card.
Yeah, I just wanted to find out who to talk to.
Yeah,
about
staff
that.
as the whole.
And if it's hopefully not too late.
So.
No, you're not.
You know, we have a beautiful park and a band shell down at Coos Park. We're always looking to do things on the weekend. If you want to go down with your friends, jam, talk to Al Cameron, and maybe we could get some musical weekends during the summer. Picnics in the park or...
Picnic in the park has a good ring to it,
Because
right?
that's-
So
That's what we plan on.
yeah, as soon as we get that thing raked or like sifted, it's amazing the sand under stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to find out more about the.
Yeah, so Chris will give you a business start.
Alan and the council.
Me, my animal coordinator down at Parks.
But then you go for action items. Anybody see anything?
I have previously brought up about the Encana sign on the school. I think with the hail that came down, can we find out from the school if we have to purchase that Encana and put that name back up there on our community center?
Can you find that out, Chris?
I had reached out to the school about that and let me see if I can track that down. Councilor Smith, he'd given me, I think, an email, although maybe by phone. I just don't remember where that landed. That was a number of months ago.
I thought they were gonna put it back up.
Yeah, maybe I'll look through here, but leave it with me, Councilor Smith. and I'll-
Thank you.
I'll get back to you.
So we haven't got the library contract back?
It went to the library board, they approved some additional changes, and Mike was just gonna pen those into the contract, so to my knowledge, we haven't had it back yet.
Can you do a phone call?
It may actually be sitting in my email inbox, because the email issues I was having last week, I've literally got 50 unanswered emails right now, so.
Can I worked
The
on.
school, any
Court,
idea
even
on what they're
coordinating
doing,
you
when they're gonna
copying
start?
and
Are we
we had
gonna
agreements into
move
it.
our library back to a library this summer, or are they ready, like, what's the plan?
An email has gone out to ask the school if we can go for a visit, and we're waiting to hear back from the school at this point.
Okay, but we know nothing about the renovations or,
I talked to Tyler and Travis, and he said, he was gonna check into it.
because it's halfway through June.
I
And
gotta
they
get it up
haven't
and
said-
going before September.
And they haven't told us what's happening.
So anything else? And what about calendar? Oh, sorry, Sam.
If all this council before you leave tonight would take a look on the wall over there, the color swatches for the wall are there, and so is the color of the blind. And if you'll just put a check mark on the one that you like best, that would be much appreciated, thank you. You said you wanted to say. So we put them up there.
It's not pink, so I don't care.
No, it's not pink.
Capital special program? Brian, while you're sitting there, have a peek at that and then just put a check mark, whatever.
I assure you, my wife would tell you I am the last person that should be involved in colors.
Didn't say we were gonna use the one you picked, but you know.
Yeah, everything's fine. for. And I'm away from June, what's tomorrow? 6th to the 13th, I get back. Okay? And I may be away all of July. Completely. I've talked to my partner. Okay. Anything else? Councillor White's report.
We've been talking with Al about working on different things that we can do this summer to try and maybe have a pick-me-up game down at the park with some of the kids, and we thought about the picnic in the park. And then I was also working with the library on reading that agreement. And I wrote all this stuff down.
They haven't even told the library when they can have the library back. or
No,
what's
I
happening.
haven't, no. They're still working on it.
Just to jump into the library, I found the last piece of communication I have from the library was from the 27th, and it was from Courtney to Mike, CC to me, just letting you know that my board has approved the new agreement.
She said that she was also going to send you a copy of it as well. I had asked her to send you a copy.
It's not attached here.
She said to me that she had sent you a copy.
Do you have your notes?
No, I don't have it with me. It's in my thing. And the banners, I was going to bring up about the banners, so we need to get new banners on the street. I'm going back beautification too.
And we have money in beautification thing, Chris?
There's a small recurring annual beautification budget, so we should be able to squeeze it.
Even if I have to sit there and paint them myself, I'll do them.
All in favor? Okay. Anything else?
No, I got that.
Okay, Councillor Smith.
I've been doing regional district, that's about it.
Okay. Nothing new for Pete?
Not that I can, Chris can't leave town because when he does, things happen.
And Marlene's not here. Councillor Drover.
No report.
No report. Mayor McKay went to FCM and she worked all day today. She never got a report done, but she will. Right, Chris? There's an air conditioning issue at the post office, so can you contact
air conditioning?
DC Mechanical?
It's been dealt with, your worship. We
No, I was
purchased
there
a new-
today.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a brand new air conditioner in there.
Yeah. So if you can contact.
Claire just bought her a brand new one.
Well, it's not working and it's hot now. So if we have an air conditioning machine in there or?
It's not like the ones in these buildings, it's just a portable.
It's a window unit.
Yeah.
There's just a couple. Blair called me while at FCM. He said that it failed and it was cheaper to just buy another one and try and bring a technician to bring.
Well, she said that she's swapping in there. And then the door needs to be finished and she is not to contact the village. She is to contact her superior and her superior will contact the village. So I said I will just take it over to the village. And if she has any issues to write them down and I will bring them to the village. So that is it for my report. Can I have a motion to move into the
Should we move in camera?
Yeah. Can I have a second?
Second.